Book lovers, my name is Carrie and this is Spines and Spoilers. Today we're talking about my reading wrap-up for July. Before that though, I like to start my videos with what I am drinking and what I'm reading. At the moment, I'm actually not drinking anything. I just finished a big cup of water and I feel like maybe I shouldn't drink anything else for now. As for what I'm reading the physical copy of The Silent Corner by Dean Koontz. I've actually been able to focus more on the audiobook that I've been listening to because I've been going around doing chores and stuff like that, which is Middle of the Night by Riley Sager. I was really excited for this one. So far, it's actually pretty good. With that though, let's start my reading wrap-up for July 2024. The first book that I read was When Among Crows by Veronica Roth. It is a fantasy based in Slavic folklore. It basically focuses on a monster hunter who is tasked with killing the Baba Yaga. This was a fun little novella. I enjoyed reading it. I hadn't read anything by Veronica Roth in a long time since, you know, Divergent, and this book was entirely different. I was surprised. The next book that I read was Diavola by Jennifer Thorne. This was a supernatural horror about a family taking a vacation to Italy. At the house where they're vacationing, there is a tower which can't be unlocked. The black sheep of the family quickly figures out that there's something, you know, not normal going on. There's something supernatural happening at this place. And ends up discovering that she is being haunted. I'm not going to give away anything else, but it was really fun to read. I enjoyed the ending so much. She's one of my new favorite characters. The third book that I read was Murder Road by Simone St. James. This was another supernatural horror. Murder Road is about a couple on their honeymoon and they accidentally take a wrong turn on the way to their destination. While on their way, they end up running into a girl who has been stabbed and is on her way to dying. Understandably so, they pick her up and she ends up dying at the hospital, and now they are the primary suspect. I always love Simone St. James. I've loved everything by her that I've read so far. That being said, I've mainly stuck to her supernatural horror mystery stuff, so I don't know. Maybe her other stuff isn't great. I honestly have no idea. This was another good one. I'm not going to say it's one of her strongest, but it's also not her weakest. The fourth book that I read was Bury Your Gaze by Chuck Tingle. This was a supernatural horror, which was also very queer and had sci-fi elements. It is about a screenwriter who is gay, who is writing a show that involves a romance between two women. The producers come around and they say that they want him to kill off his character because, you know, America's not ready for this lesbian relationship, of course, and he refuses. And then slowly over time, his creations, these horrific creations that he's made for the show, start popping up. And they're very threatening and imply that if he does not kill off these characters, then he's gonna die. One of my favorites that I read that month, probably my second favorite. Definitely not Chuck Tingle's usual fare, but I'm enjoying his foray into horror thus far. The fifth book that I read was In Charm's Way by Lena Harper. This was a fantasy romance. It was queer, it had a mystery. I have loved every one of Lena Harper's books that I've read so far, at least the ones in this series. It circulates around a town full of witches, basically adapted and turned themselves into a tourist attraction and convinced everyone that the witchcraft is fake, which is just genius in my opinion. But each book circulates around a different witch in the town, and generally they're related to whatever happened in the first book. I love that setup. I actually absolutely love it. I think it has endless potential. And each book is very queer, except I think there's one with a heterosexual romance. One of them so far. This is the fourth in the series. I'm kind of hoping that she keeps writing them, but we'll see. Either way, I really enjoyed this one. There is some sex, like some graphic sex scenes, but I wouldn't call it erotica because that's not the focus. The sixth book that I read was The Hunting Moon by Susan Dennard. Whew, this was another good one. It is a fantasy mystery. It is a sequel to The Luminaries. Basically, the main character of that book has finally reached the point where she has pulled her family out of being disgraced. She passed her third trial that she had to go through. She was able to pull her family out of the depths of being shunned, which was happening because it was assumed that her father had done some nefarious things because he accidentally ended up housing someone who was from a villain clan, like a rival clan. And now there are hunters going missing and being attacked. It's assumed that it's werewolves that are doing this, but the main character knows that it's this being called the Whisperer. This was another book that I really enjoyed, and I'm looking forward to the last book in the trilogy to come out in November. The 7th book that I read in July was Tales from the Cafe by Toshikazu Kawaguchi. It was basically just another book in the Before the Coffee Gets Cold anthology. It is about a cafe which is capable of time travel, but there are a lot of stipulations and rules you have to follow in order to do that. The catch to reading these books, though, is that they are tearjerkers. It is almost guaranteed that at least one of these stories is going to make you cry. The 8th and final book that I read in July 2024 is Never Whistle at Night. It was an anthology of horror stories written by Indigenous authors. Highly enjoyable. Every single story had something to offer. I enjoyed all of them. There wasn't a single story I was like, not for me. I enjoyed all of them. This book is amazing. It's my number one. This is why the other book didn't get number one, because of this one. It's so good. Would definitely recommend this, because even if you don't like all of them like I did, chances are you're gonna at least like one of them, because each story is written by a different author. If I had to suggest one book for you to read off of this entire list, it would be Never Whistle at Night. And that is it for the books that I read in July 2024. It wasn't necessarily a super productive month, but being that I hadn't read anything in months, I'm gonna call it a win. Thank you so much for watching this video. I appreciate it more than you know. Just the fact that you took the time out of your day to actually stop and watch this. Especially if you have reached this point in the video, that's much appreciated. If you want to like and share and subscribe and do all that stuff, that's up to you. That's your business. It would be appreciated, but I'm not gonna pressure you into that. What is most important for you to remember is to love yourself. Please, I beg you. Just this once, try it. You'll like it. Okay, bye. If I say